Welcome back, folks, to Get a Grip on Lighting special release. 5 series we're doing on issues within the lighting industry. And the first one we released was on sustainability, and it turned out having the title called The Time Is Now and the Person Is You. That's right. And the notorious editor of Light Ted Mag, and Ted Mag is with me today, and we're going to sort of talk through our feelings of what happened and some of the summaries of what we took from that particular session, even though I was involved. But yeah, some of the things after we were thinking about it and how this issue can be brought forward. But before we go there, we have to give thanks to our sponsor, Cooper Lighting. Cooper Lighting Solutions has introduced a new way to manufacture lighting products using 3D printing technology. That's right. Shaper Prentalux allows for bespoke, distinctive designs that meet the aesthetic and performance needs of the designer's vision. Available in numerous shapes, colors, and textures, Shaper Prentalux custom shades are manufactured quickly, reduce the carbon footprint, and can be recycled at end of life. Visit cooperlighting.com, that's COOPERLIGHTING.com to learn more. What's up, Scott Costa?
Hey man, how are you? Thanks. Let's start by saying this. Thank you for allowing TED Magazine to be a part of this, to stream this on our platforms too, which was great. We were able to stream it on our social media platforms and on our lighttedmag.com website. We stream this, and I can't thank you guys enough for including me and including TED Magazine in this project that you guys are taking on. I really do. I appreciate being a part of it.
You're welcome, and we appreciate you being a part of it. The sustainability issue, I mean, the NAILED committee, you graciously posted the letter of the findings, from the NAILED committee. Brian Huff, great work there. Mm-hmm. This seems to be gaining traction, and what I had asked Kate Hickox and Aaron Smith, of PNL and Fine Light respectively, what I had asked them was, is this a perpetual goal? Is it something that is elusive, that's always going to change and is always, there's no arriving at a sustainable light fixture. What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
Again, I'm kind of an outside guy looking in. I mean, it's not like I'm designing lights for a living. I just kind of report on lighting, and post it on our website. But I mean, it seems like any other, it doesn't matter what the industry is when you're talking about sustainability. It seems like a never-ending quest to get to the end, and you look at other projects and trying to again eliminate our carbon footprints, or trying to do what we're doing. I throw it back to you as I was watching the stream today. In terms of are we making this too hard? Do you think it's too hard? I mean, is there a way that maybe we should be stair-stepping our goals to say, we want to be at this point in 2025, we want to be at this point in 2030 at least? I mean, it seems so complex.
Yeah, you know what? I think I asked if there was a guru, during the show, if there was someone, a yogi or a Yoda, that could point us in the right direction here. But, my gut sense on this is that there's two key issues that are like elephants in the room, and they're not being acknowledged. And the first one is that the lighting industry for a long time was sustainable in the way that they are trying to achieve today. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking going back 100 years, you would have replaceable light sources and replaceable sockets, and a commitment to field repair, a manufacturer commitment to replacement parts. The IP being eliminated very quickly so that people could make, the replacement products, and a secondary market for those products quickly developed. ANSI standards for lamps, mechanical form factors being set. All this, the lighting industry might have invented that, actually, quite frankly. May have been the first industry to do that, saying we're all going to use an E26 socket, the bulb's going to have this A19 shape, and then we're going to shorten the life as much as possible so we can sell as many of them as we can, right? But they did it for different reasons back then. But the lighting industry had achieved, what now we're looking at and scrambling and trying to do to sort of recover that. The second, elephant in the room that, I don't think this, and I'm not pointing at anyone here, Scott, from my perspective, but the second elephant in the room is the lack of stakeholder involvement from frontline lighting practitioners. The nailed committee, look at a Brian Huff. I mean, Atlas Lighting, my company, Brian, these are small players overall in the lighting industry. He's out of Iowa. His family's been in the business for 30 or 40 years, sells light bulbs every day. I don't know, maybe they ship 30, 40 orders a day, something like me. Maybe it's more, maybe it's a little bit less, maybe 10 people work there. You know what I mean? But he puts together this committee and comes out with some deadly stuff in the letter. I mean, and that's just lighting distributors, people that sell light bulbs every day, saying, "Hey, here's our 2 cents," And I think, if you brought Nalmco to the table and said, "Hey guys, do a quick committee," and I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just saying that, their voices of the contractors, they could add so much to this. And then you get the lighting agents involved, and they have a committee, and they start throwing, and you're going to get real solutions, not these kind of pie in the sky ideals. And I'm not saying that that's what Kate Hickox and Aaron Smith and PNL are doing, right? That's not what I'm suggesting. But I think the lighting industry, I what was it I heard the other day? Carl Jung said most people don't see God because they don't look low enough. It's like, why don't we start with the trenches and work our way out, rather than trying to dictate these things from the top down? It would be a lot easier. And then there's a power to incrementalism that I think is lost on the industry. So, incremental improvements. What can we do better today, right now? I think that's where, if we're going to make progress in this area, Scott, I think, we need to involve that expertise from the people in the front lines, and those are agents, distributors, and contractors. And I know NAED, listen, your members over at NAED sell a ton of lights, maybe the most, actually, of all the organizations. If you're just looking at, SKUs shipped, the electrical distributors are probably going to finish in first by a country mile. And, NAED could put together a committee of what, the electrical distributors take. Listen, that industry is built on standardization. Mm-hmm. I
agree. Yeah.
Where could you get if a 10-foot piece of half-inch EMT conduit wasn't set to a standard, or 12 gauge wire or whatever? You couldn't build any buildings. The final point is that I know a lot of manufacturers resist. They don't like the word commoditization, but in a capitalist society, commoditization is how we create equity. When people talk about equity, make good, solid products widespread and cheap and available for everybody. And, everyone wants to make a fancy new fixture, but I think really what we need is to standardize the mechanical form factors, get back to what we used to do well back 100 years ago, and everybody make things in the same manner, and then focus the innovation on within those rules. And I think the industry would leap forward towards sustainability. We can lead this, Scott. We can lead this transformation.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let me get into a couple of these things.
Sure.
I want to get into the first part you said, kind of the science of making sustainable lighting. You mentioned in the stream today, we thought back in the day, based on the data we had and the science that we had, that mercury was the way to go. And where do you think we are today? Again, is the science going to continue to evolve? So we're basically chasing sustainability, or do you think we've reached sort of a tipping point where it's like, okay, we know enough now to where we can be making sustainable lighting for the future?
I would say that the lighting industry is enormous. Okay. And I think that there are a lot of goals that are mutually exclusive, which people don't actually understand that they are mutually exclusive. And those are like carbon. If you're serious about eliminating energy use vis-a-vis reducing carbon emissions, that goes against the idea of circadian, which is using more energy to produce better quality light. Those two things are going to compete with one another. I'm not saying they shouldn't compete, but they can't be put beside one another in the same folder as a goal that we want to achieve at the same time. And so that's in the interior environment. And then you have renovation of existing buildings. I think we could encourage people to leave the mechanical housing in place and retrofit it rather than removing it. And I think, anyone, and I know I heard Kate and Aaron speaking about, sort of taking fixtures out and reusing them. I run a lamp recycling and recycling business here. When you take 1,000 2x4s out of a building, no one wants them. It's just shreddable metal. They're all twisted and bent, and it's scratched up, and they're just never going to be reused as a light fixture again. But if we leave them in place, if we don't remove them, then we can use them. I think the number one, to me, the place that makes the most sense to start, where you get circadian, you get networked lighting controls, you can do mechanical form factors, you can increase health benefits, you can help the environment, you can make sustainable cross-component parts, is with municipal street lighting. All municipalities need the same kind of street lighting. Yep. Okay, and so you don't need to have 75 different types of outdoor light fixtures for street lighting poles. I mean, you could have different categories, highways, residential streets, and this sort of thing. But that's an area where we could standardize very quickly. We'd hit all of the goals that the lighting industry is talking about with the deployment of network lighting controls, an environmental impact of reducing light pollution, light trespass. We'd have the equity because we'd give people in poorer communities excellent lighting systems, which can be controlled or adjusted based on various needs. We could study things. We could do studies. If we network those lighting controls, we could study if a lighting system can reduce vagrancy, can reduce, different types of crime and how all that works. And, the final thing is we can help with circadian by eliminating light trespass and by lowering Kelvin temperatures and different things like that. And so I think the focus of sustainability should be out of the interior and on the exterior, and specifically to municipal street lighting and highway lighting, where you do not have a diverse amount of crazy applications. It would be an easy place for the industry to start, and that would be my suggestion, my 2 cents from here at Atlas Lighting in Toronto. Yeah.
That's great. And then you talked about the stakeholders part of it too. Mm-hmm. What do you think I think there has to be value in being a stakeholder as a consumer. I'm making stuff up here, so hang in there with me.
Sure.
But let's say I'm a school or a office. Let's say I'm a school, because that's probably the easiest one. I got the maintenance guy there, and he's like, what's the easiest way to, fix this lighting? And he calls his contractor friend, and they just tear it out and throw it in the dumpster. Well, when you talk about the stakeholders of sustainable lighting, and again, making it so that it's either recyclable or that it's easy to retrofit, what's the stake for these guys? They don't care. They're just going to tear it. They're going to go whatever's the fastest way to put a light bulb in a classroom. So how do we increase their stake in the game, so that they will understand the sustainability effort that's going on through all of these channels that you talked about, and they're not just throwing stuff in the dumpster?
That's a tough question to answer, because the first problem with that question is that the lighting industry has an advocacy and education problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, so
right, exactly.
It has a massive problem there. So first of all, most people that sell lighting are not aware of the sustainability goals that these people, that are talking about. These are very introductory discussions. Now, sustainability used to mean a CFL. Before that, it was an LED. Consumers don't care enough about lighting to get overly involved in this. And it's not that important an issue to them. Most people just want the lights to work, and they want to go to work. And maybe they would tune them, maybe they want to dim them a little bit, but they don't want a bunch of fussy hassles to do with lighting. They don't want to be lectured about sustainability, of their light. They don't know anything about lighting, and they're never going to know anything about lighting. Okay, so let's just remember that. The vast majority of the people that are in buildings don't care about the lights, and never will, and don't want to, and shouldn't have to. Okay, but they're still stakeholders, and so that's what I mean. But when I talk about this commoditization, like if fixtures are so expensive, if they could actually figure out a way to improve human health outcomes using light fixtures, okay, the goal of the industry should be to isolate the various things that do that as quickly as possible, and make them as widely available and at the lowest cost as we possibly can. And what that'll do is distribute those out so the stakeholders are getting that automatically. Right? Now, in terms of firing them up, I want my lights to be sustainable. I don't really, you have these Gucci suit tags, the well building and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that consumers need to trust the industry, and that governments need to be able to trust the industry, and we do that with good leadership from places like the IES, the DLC, the AEEE, and these other organizations really coming together. And the final point on that is incrementalism is so much more powerful than transformational change. When people do try to go for these transformational change situations, Scott, they always miss the unintended consequences. If we go for incrementalism, we can adjust as we go along, and we can make sure that we don't make problems. And if you improve your life or you improve your industry by 1% a month, 1% a month, okay, in 5 years, that is transformational, right? And so I think we need to really focus on incrementalism. Yeah, so there you go. Long spiel there.
No, I thought that was good. You mentioned commoditization again, though, and I think, and you did say that manufacturers are hesitant to commoditize.
They don't like the word.
But I don't think you're really talking about. You're talking about and I'm making up a number again. So a committee gets together and says, here's the 7 things, here's the 11 things that you have to commoditize to be sustainable. The rest of it, if you want to be as innovative as you want to be, go on ahead.
Sure.
I think that's where the fear is. It's like, okay, well, I'll use magazines as a great example. I make the exact same magazine as everybody else makes the same magazine, and it's all the same magazine. What's the difference? It's all the same. No lighting company wants to feel that way. But if there's a small list of, and by small, again, it could be 25, there's a small list of commoditized things that you need to do or have to do to get a label, which you mentioned in the stream, so that you are meeting sustainability values. You can be as innovative as you want from there on in, right? You're not just talking about everybody's making the same light bulb.
Well, I think if we look to the Nailed letter where they came out and they talked about, I think their first point was traditional lamp shapes. They talked about, if you have it in front of you there, I think number 1 talks about.
I do.
What does it say? What's the exact line, the header of it?
Yeah, recommitment to legacy form factors, lamp shapes, and sockets.
Yeah. I mean, let's just take a look at that. I would say that the vast amount of LED innovation, enduring innovation. So I'm not saying that there wasn't amazing, crazy innovations in light fixtures, but what I'm talking about is enduring, right? Yep. So that's going to stay with us for a while. The most innovation that's going to stay with us is with those legacy lamp types. Like, think about how much the LED T8 tube has come from 2013 to 2022. I mean, that's an amazing, it's gone from 22 watts down. You can get 10 watts, 1800 lumens, all the color temperatures, flicker free. You can tune them, you can dim them. I mean, the amount of innovation and differentiation that has happened within the mechanical set form factor that fits in everybody's light fixture, okay, is astounding to me. And so what I'm suggesting is that commodity, and you know what? Everyone can afford an LED T8 tube. In fact, everybody can afford to buy a tunable flicker-free LED tube. It's not that expensive. And the reason why it's not is because the mechanical form factors have been set. The market knows what to expect. It has a bipin socket at the end that fits into a tombstone socket. Yep. Maybe you can wire it direct line voltage. Maybe it runs on a ballast. There's a couple different things down the line. Maybe it has its own driver. But all these things really drove innovation for a long time, enduring innovation. And what that means is it got better and better and better and better incrementally over 10 years. So now you have like a 10-watt product that is, uses 25% of the energy of the fluorescent system it replaced. It lasts 3 times longer. It can be dimmed, it doesn't flicker, and it can be color tuned. That's astounding, Scott, in 10 years. That's unbelievable. And so I think the industry, people that are worried about, you're going to commoditize my fixture. Hey, just look at that. Look at what happened in those 10 years with LED tubes. And everybody made a lot of money. Everyone did great. So, I would push back a little bit on the manufacturers and saying, we're not trying to get you to sell the cheapest light fixture. It's not a race to the bottom. But what we're saying is the major innovations, the IP should be removed so that we can help as many people as we possibly can. If there actually is health benefits to this, the industry should get together and say, okay, we're all going to agree to do this now and give the good lighting to everybody.
It's a great topic, and I'm glad we're into it because certainly I think it's going to be ongoing, and it goes across the board. I mean, it goes to I saw a thing, whatever it was, a month or so ago about solar panels that end up in landfills too, and so I mean, it crosses so many different industries that touch what we do as electrical distributors and what we do here at NAD. So it's just it's not going away, and I'm glad that you're diving into this and you made this the first stream that you guys put together in this series.
Yeah, I think it's a good kickoff because it's a hot topic, and I think Kate and Aaron did a great job, by the way, fielding the questions. But what I would say as kind of a final wrap-up piece to this is, it's okay to admit you're wrong, or that we made mistakes as an industry.
Yeah.
Like, let's just come out and say we made lights that flicker. We increased light pollution exponentially. We didn't know that 5,000 K was bad outdoors. Nobody knew. I mean, maybe some people knew. Yeah. But you know what? Most lighting people were so excited about the societal benefits of energy efficiency that we just went balls to the wall. Okay, I raised my hand. I did tons of 5,000 K outdoor lighting. I'm with you guys. I'm not preaching at anybody. So I think it's time for us to admit that we make mistakes. We're gonna make mistakes, and the sooner that we admit them, the sooner we can fix them. Scott,
go in the right direction. I agree with you, 100%.
Time to give thanks to our sponsor, Cooper Lighting Solutions, who has introduced a new way to manufacture lighting products. This is super exciting, using 3D printing technology. Their Shaper Prentalux allows for bespoke, distinctive designs that meet the aesthetic performance needs of the designer's vision. Available in numerous shapes, colors, and textures, Shaper Prentalux custom shades are manufactured quickly, reduce the carbon footprint, and can be recycled at end of life. Please visit cooperlighting.com. That's COOPERLIGHTING.com to learn more. So we thank Cooper for their support of this, and also we want to encourage you to go check out their Shaper Prentalux. What a great fixture. Bye for now.